Welcome back. Racing, and a sensation yesterday at Sandown. It was Australian Hurdle and Steeple Day, but the sensation came before that in the very first race. History was made, and Keith, you mentioned about the AJC stewards 2 or 3 weeks ago. Well, the VRC stewards put their own protest in yesterday.
Yes, Bruce, yes. 2 or 3 weeks ago, John Schreck protested fourth against second and upheld it. Now, at Sandown yesterday, for the first time in the state of Victoria, stewards entered a protest and upheld it. Pat Lawler, a stipendiary steward for 30 years. Now, he's the head-on. Alias Comberbash is in front and first past the post. Widest runner, the outsider, Disrepute. They move out, they touch, and they do it again. Danny Nikolic rode Disrepute. He thought he'd been beaten a neck. The margin was a short half head. Pat Lawler told Nikolic he was concerned that he hadn't protested. Nikolic thought the interference may have been on the line or past it. But once the protest went in, once Pat Lawler fired the first protest in his 30-year career, you could bet that it would be upheld, Bruce.
And what was the feeling from punters? Because Alias Comberbash was a 7-4 favourite.
The feeling from punters was not kind to the stewards panel until the head-on shot was shown on course television. And then I think it was accepted. But off-course punters reacted angrily. They phoned the course, and I hope that that shot that was made available by Mr Lawler and the stewards panel this morning will erase any of the bitterness that protest left.
What about the hurdle and the steeple? We start with the hurdle, best endeavours.
Newcomer to race to hurdle racing. He's only the 3 or 4 now. Starts over hurdles for 3 wins in a second. He's trained by former jockey Pat Hyland, part owned by Pat's former boss, Jim Maloney. That was a popular result, and he's a smart jumper. I think he's probably the favourite now for the Grand National. And what a ride by Jamie Evans. He's riding in sensational style.
Running on is Pieros, being followed by Fun Verdict and Gull Fever over the third last jumper. Then Best Endeavours, and Gull Fever's down. Gull Fever fell at that one as they come down to the 850. And now it's Pieros, the outsider, going to the front. Pieros is the leader. He's about a length and a half to College Master. Fun Verdict is making a claim. Over on the inside, Manaway there, followed by Best Endeavours, 4 lengths to Del Mar. Then Vendetta by and Vinciamo as they come up past the 600-metre mark, and Pieros is making a merry bid for victory. He's a length clear. In second place, Fun Verdict, and here comes Best Endeavours putting in his run. 5 lengths away, Del Mar running on, followed by College Master as they straighten up. Pieros is still the leader. Fun Verdict switched back to the inside, and now to the outside he goes. Best Endeavours, he's coming at these leaders very quickly. Best Endeavours at the second last jumper. He jumped the second last one well. Del Mar made a mess of it. He's under the whip. Best Endeavours takes the lead from Fun Verdict with 1 hurdle left to jump. Best Endeavours is the leader. Fun Verdict is battling on courageously. At the last jump, the inside panel is flattened, and Best Endeavours has got the Australian hurdle won. He's too good. He's drawing away on the run home. Best Endeavours. He wins it by a length and a half to Fun Verdict.
A lot of class there, Keith. He's got great acceleration for a hurdler. I just wonder how seasoned he is for the Grand National. Yes,
Jamie Evans has the option of riding him or Hirami, last week's Flemington winner. He'll make that choice after Hirami runs next week at Moonee Valley, but he's just getting better with every run. I think he's very good. And Jamie Evans, he's only 23. He did the double yesterday, Bruce. He won the steeple as well. He went to England. He told the trainers over there that he'd ridden 400 winners, and one of them said, "You've ridden none as far as we're concerned until you ride in England." And this is from people who can't even get a Grand National steeplechase in play.
They wouldn't say that if you made 100 in the cricket at the moment, wouldn't they?
No, they would not.
Well, let's have a look at the steeple. Jamie again, this time on King Taros. So the favourite was the grey Luna Fox, who's been responsible for 2 fantastic finishes at Sandown in recent weeks, but yesterday King Taros made it 3 in a row.
Round the turn, 2 fences left to jumper, and the leader, King Taros, he's out full of running. He's fenced perfectly all the way at the second last jumper. He's 2 lengths to Trilo, 5 lengths to Luna Fox at the second last fence. King Taros cleared it well. 4 lengths to Trilo. Luna Fox still running on at the last jump. King Taros cleared it safely. The jumping's all over. In second place is Trilo, and Luna Fox still running on, but King Taros holds a nice lead onto the course proper. 200 metres left to go. Looks like the jumping double coming up for Jamie Evans. King Taros has got it won in the run to the post. He's far too good, King Taros, and it's a great run by this horse, King Taros, making the hat-trick as he comes down to the line for Jamie Evans. King Taros by 3 lengths to Trilo.
He's a very safe jumper, King Taros. He's trained by Mick O'Leary at Mount Gambier. Evans, of course, has the option to ride him in the Grand National steeplechase, but he also has other options, and if he doesn't choose King Taros, then the New Zealander, Brett McDonald, will be given the ride.
The other big news yesterday at Rosehill, Kevin Moses making it 100 winners for the season. He's in elite company there.
Yes, he's heading for a record up there. He might do it in 100 wins. Is a fantastic tally. Well done, Kevin. And here in Melbourne, Damien Oliver, who celebrates his 21st birthday on Tuesday, didn't ride. He took a tumble at the track. He's okay today. He's the first guy, had a party last night, Bruce, first guy to turn up to his party with a headache.
Yeah, well, you haven't done that, have you?
Never. I've left with a few.
You sure have.
Migraines, in fact.
Wayne Wilson joins us. Wayne, headaches aren't part of your disposition, are they? You're feeling well again this morning?
Oh, yeah, we're feeling 100% up here. We've got lovely weather in Brisbane, and we had a great day of racing yesterday at Doomben, highlighted by the win of Rich Pageantry and the listed race for the fillies and mares at Doomben. It's something we've been promoting here in Queensland in the last couple of years, Bruce, to get some black type against the fillies and mares for their stud careers, and it's been working pretty successfully for us too.
She's got to be well above average, because Snippet's Girl had the drop on her yesterday, and she's, I think Rich Pageantry's won 4 out of 4 this time in, and 8 out of 12 all up.
She's got a great record, hasn't she? And Brian York was high in his praise of Rich Pageantry's performance yesterday. She came from the outside alley, gate number 14, and Brian said he had to start her up in the early stages, so he had to burn the candles at both ends with her, and she responded in the home straight. And coming to the home turn, she was travelling well within herself. She got home the last 300 or 600 metres in 34.08, so it made it impossible for anything to come from behind. Good as Snippet's Girl was, but she had a fair share of weight yesterday, and chasing Rich Pageantry in the straight, she just couldn't do it. Rich Pageantry too good, and now goes to the Tats meeting at Eagle Farm next Saturday to chase another black type race for the fillies and mares called the Winter Stakes.
Well, she's going to be very hard to beat. Let's go to Doomben and see this most impressive performance.
Gilded Queen going up on the fence behind a wall of horses approaching the turn, needing a bit of luck. Then Show Wonder. Further back, Cairns Version's a mile back. So is Rose Road, Last for Knowledge and Bowl Wager. Around the turn, 350 to go. Rich Pageantry, the leader. Snipper's Girl trying to get out off the fence, followed by Sparkling Bounty. Gilded Queen is now pulled out, followed by Strokes and Celibacy. Rich Pageantry in front of the 200. Snipper's Girl trying hard, then Sparkling Bounty, Gilded Queen. But Rich Pageantry's run them into the ground, I'd say. Rich Pageantry in front of Snipper's Girl, close to home, and Rich Pageantry. Rich Pageantry beats Snipper's Girl, tight for third. Sparkling Bounty or Gilded Queen, then Cairns Version.
So watch for her next week. Obviously very hard to beat. Let's go back a few days, Wayne, because the Brisbane Cup Castlemaine Stakes were run at Eagle Farm on Monday. And the Cup, unfortunately, had lost a bit. Royal Magic going out early, and then Dark Czar on race morning.
Yes, Bruce, we lost a fair bit of glamour from the Brisbane Cup, and I guess it's fair to say that the standard of the Cup field wasn't as good as it has been in years gone by, with Royal Magic losing her spot in the field through a tendon problem, and then Dark Czar being scratched on the morning of the race. It was unfortunate that we lost those two horses, but it developed into a very thrilling race over the final stages of the race, and somewhat controversial Brisbane Cup with the attempt to replace Steve Sharman as the rider of Barbat Delcia, but Steve was there to have the last laugh in the end, as he rode beautifully on Barbat Delcia, knowing that she's a real stayer, and he developed it into a real staying test when he took off on Barbat Delcia, and Barbat Delcia was too strong for them at the end.
Well, was the problem the fact that he'd been ill with a virus on the Saturday and couldn't fulfil his engagements, and the owner and trainer then thought that he wouldn't be fit enough to ride?
That's right, that's right. The owners, the connections of the horse wanted the same jockey to ride on the Saturday as well as the Monday. Now, Steve was indisposed on the Saturday, and he couldn't ride Barbat Delcia. Now, they were a little concerned, well, if he wasn't right on the Saturday, he may not be right and fit enough to ride her on the Monday. So when they got to the races on Monday morning, the stewards opened an inquiry. The connections said, we want to replace the jockey with a couple of other riders who they thought might suit Barbat Delcia. Steve Sharman said, no, I'm 100% fit. I'll do the job properly. He underwent a medical examination at the track. The club doctor said he was 100%. The steward said, well, he had the engagement for the horse. Here he is. He's here at the track. He's here at the races, and he's 100% fit. Let him ride. And ride he did.
I guess, Keith, he still would have been eligible for a winning percentage had he not ridden the horse. Is that the way it works?
Yes, he probably would have. Bruce, although Steve was past 100% fit, it's interesting to note that after winning the Brisbane Cup, he was helped back to scale, and it took him more than an hour in the jockey's room to recover. Well,
it was a brave performance. Let's go to the track and Barbat Delcia's win with Steve Sharman on top.
Barbut Delcia's going around the wide. Kiwi Golfer's coming into the picture. Cool Affairs with that bunch. Pallets on the rail. He's waiting for the run. Anything's possible between horses. A long way back, Silk Ali and Mr. Brooker next, and Mac Robert is starting along, searching run. They're homeward bound, 400 metres left to go, and Barbut Delcia raced up to join Kiwi Golfer. They've beaten off Ramyar, NASA Rocket to the outside, Cool Affair, and Mac Robert next from Silk Ali. Barbut Delcia and Kiwi Golfer led at the 200 metres. Cool Affair and Mac Robert are trying hard. Barbut Delcia is just in front of Kiwi Golfer. It's Barbut Delcia in front. Cool Affairs coming late, but Barbut Delcia is just in front. It's getting a bit tired. Will it hang on? Yes, it's just won. Barbut Delcia's won the cup from Cool Affair. Third's a photo.
Keith's got his pen and paper out, Wayne. He's pretty keen to write down some Melbourne Cup tips. Does he get any from there?
I doubt it very much. Barbut Delcia is a grand stayer. All she knows, if the Melbourne Cup was over 3 miles, she'd be in it with a chance, but I doubt very much whether she's up to the class of a Melbourne Cup. No, I think we can forget the Brisbane Cup as a guide to the Melbourne Cup.
Well, what sort of a guide is a Castlemaine, do you reckon, guys? Because Mahogany wasn't anywhere near top class in Melbourne. I know he's developed, but he's won 2 Group 1 races now in the space of about a fortnight.
He carried the top weight too, Bruce, and only 4 horses in the history of the Castlemaine Stakes have carried more weight than one. I think he's pretty good. Connections have ambitious sights for him, Wayne. All the spring highlights in Sydney, and then on here to Melbourne for the Cox Plate and the Derby.
Keith, you see what happens here during the winter. Horses come up here and they really blossom. This is the best place to send a horse for the winter. How many times have we seen it? Horses that winter here in Brisbane go back to Melbourne in the spring and they really fly the flag. Now, Mahogany, he may have left Melbourne not quite up to top class, but when you see him back in Melbourne, believe me, he will be there in top class now. He's a horse capable of winning some of the classic races during the spring in Melbourne. His performance in the Castlemaine Stakes was very good. He carried plenty of weight. Greg had to start him up from the wide gate early to get him over onto the rails. He then relaxed beautifully. He's got a great temperament, and he kicks very strongly after Waikika Mukau had his measure halfway down the straight.
Now, Greg had been suspended, I think, for 9 meetings over this. Obviously, it caused interference earlier in the race.
Well, it was a little tight in the early stages, yes, there's no doubt about that.
He's in front at the moment, by the way, Wayne, with Waikika Mukau about to challenge strongly, and they do have a tremendous battle.
Yes, look at Waikika Mukau and the Cerise coming up on the outside to join Mahogany, but this is the sign of a good horse. He was beaten, but he responded every time Greg went for him.
There was a protest here too, Wayne, and dismissed. What was your feeling on the day?
Well, Greg probably tightened them up a little bit in the early stages of the race, but it was indirect interference that was going back to Waikika Mukau. Kevin Moses said after the race that he had the opportunity to beat Mahogany in the home straight, and he couldn't get him down. He may have even headed him, but he couldn't get him down at the end. And I think Moses, whilst he thought he had a chance of getting the decision on objection, he was well satisfied with the result.
Keith, you mentioned Cox Place with Mahogany. Do you think Never Undercharge would have a chance against him?
I thought we went through this discussion a week ago, Bruce.
Oh, you'd pick him up and carry him. Yeah, I know he's a year older.
And I wasn't writing down Melbourne Cup hopes from the Brisbane Cup either, Wayne. That's your domain, Bruce.
I've got a few tips at the moment, Wayne, but we're not going to give them out just yet. So all in all, it's been a tremendous carnival. Almost at the end of it, you've got the Tats Cup coming up. Any high-profile horses?
Yes, we'll have a great meeting at the Tattersalls program next week, and then we follow up with the Ipswich Cup meeting the week after that. Bruce, I haven't seen the nominations, really, to tell you the truth, for the program next week at Tattersalls, but I'm sure it's going to be a terrific card because we've got the Mercedes-Benz, we've got the Tats Cup, and we've got the Winter Stakes, so it'll be a top-class program there at Eagle Farm next week. And by the way, the Brisbane Cup crowd last Monday, our best since 1961 when Tuddock raced at Eagle Farm.
Gee, that's good news. Just make it up, Wayne, from now on. Keith does. And the other thing is that Rough Habit's going to America, I think, to run in the Hollywood Gold Cup or something like that. I read that in the paper this week. Yes, it's on in July.
Yes, an 1800-metre race, and plans are underway. He'd have to leave virtually next week, and it's on July 3rd. So he'd be a good and worthy candidate, Bruce.
Well, he's got a big heart, hasn't he, Keith? Wayne, catch you next week.
OK, Bruce, thank you very much.
Good punting, Keith.
Thanks, Bruce. We're getting into our winter racing here, and it's as good as ever this year.
We take a break with the latest scores after this, Brooke Bayfield.
On Talk to the Animals, new face Jane's really getting stuck into the job.
Hello, possum!
With a report on ridding your ceiling of pesky possums.
Time to air some dirty laundry.
With the boot whose full-time job is doing your washing.